God is mighty to save. He is mighty to save. Forever, author of salvation. We're heroes and conquered the grave. Jesus conquered the grave. Savior, He can move the mountains. My God is mighty to save. He is mighty to save. Forever, author of salvation. Heroes and conquered the grave. Jesus conquered the grave. Savior, He can move the mountains. My God is mighty to save. He is mighty to save. Forever, author of salvation. Heroes and conquered the grave. Jesus conquered the grave. He is mighty to save. Jesus conquered the grave. Savior, He can move the mountains. For my God is mighty to save. He is mighty to save. Forever, author of salvation. We're heroes and conquered the grave. Jesus conquered.
Yo, 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 what's good? What's good? What's good? What's good? What's good? What's good, chat? All right. Does everything sound good? Let me tell you this. Okay. Does everything sound good? What's good? What's good? What's good? Okay, we're late. We're late. We're late. We have to hop right into the video. So we're watching a documentary by Kendra Cody. She did a documentary on basically occultic and witchcraft practices that she was able to witness in her household. So we're going to watch this documentary and we're going to pray afterward that anything that is in us or that we've seen or traumatized us will not take root in us. And if it has, we're going to uproot it in Jesus' name, right? So I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. We're going to go ahead and set everything up because we're we're late. What to do, Dev? What to do, what to do, what to do. So this is what we doing today. I'm going to try to pull everything up. Okay. And sorry for the noise, y'all. If y'all hear a lot of background talking, sorry for the noise. Okay. I'm pulling everything up now. Let me see if we can start it over. Okay. I started everything over. Dang, we weren't able to catch it live. Okay. We weren't able to catch it live, but we're going to watch it from the beginning, right? And join in with them and watch this whole thing. Let's see. Y'all make sure y'all share this so other people can see it. Make sure you share. I hope everybody doing all right. Blessed. Where is it? Where is it? Okay, here it is. All right, let's get everything sized up right. Let's get everything sized up. What's good, everybody? If you coming in, just say what's up. We are watching a documentary today together of my little sister. She dealt with a lot of occultic practices and different things like that in her childhood. But we're gonna watch this together, and at the end, we're gonna pray that anything that may have been attached to us or may be attached to us be dismantled and disrupted in Jesus' name. So share this with your people. Share this. I'm gonna try to get it enlarged. Let's see. Is this the full screen? Okay. I'm sorry. Just getting everything sized up right quick, y'all, and then we gonna hop right into it. So y'all just share while we're getting everything set up, and then we'll be ready to go in a second. It's actually feel like deja vu. Okay. Okay. All right. Here we go. All right, guys, so let's watch this together. Tell some other people so that they can join in, and let's get into it. We can fast forward though.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel. This is extremely hard for me to share, as it is with any other documentary that I've put out, but I know that this is something that I have to do, so here goes nothing. I was actually raised with my mom and my dad at the beginning of my life, and then around age 4, we began to go through some things as far as the separation of my mom and dad. So we decided to move in with my grandma. So we moved from an apartment to my grandma's home. She stayed in my hometown, Mobile, Alabama. I remember seeing this brick house with a orange top roof. And as we pulled in, there's a driveway and there's a porch, and it just seemed really cozy. My grandma and I were really, really close. We would always talk on the couch just about life and how school was going, all of the above. My room was also my mom's room, so my mom and I actually shared a room together, which wasn't a problem. I always thought that was the best time, sleeping next to my mom. And then right across from our room is my grandma's room. I just remember with all of the conversations, there came a conversation with my mom that I had about her family. And as she started to explain some different things, I started to become concerned about everyone's well-being at this point. The reason I say this is because my mom explained how her 2 sisters passed away and all that they had gone through, all that they had dealt with, and even their children. One of my aunts that I've never got a chance to meet because she passed away before I was born, she actually committed suicide sadly, because of all the things that she was going through. And she was actually diagnosed with lupus, and I believe because of the medication she was on, she began to kind of lose her mind. She had 2 kids that are my cousins. My mom took care of them from babies up until they were grown. I truly believe that she kind of lost her mind at one point in time. There was a lot of trauma going on, and at night my mom said she was scared of this aunt. She was scared of her own sister, and she would take her children, well, one of her kids, and bring them into her room with her, because my aunt would leave her baby out in the middle of the floor because the baby was crying, and would just walk away and walk back in their room. At this time, my mom was probably a freshman in high school. I believe she was 9th or 10th grade. So she woke up, got the baby, put the baby in her room. I would ask her, I was like, why were you scared of her? And she would say, well, she would do different things like sleep with knives under her bed. And I was like, why would she sleep with knives under her bed? And my mom was saying there was something off, with her, how she would speak and how she would do certain things. My grandma brought her a black dress, and she thought it was so cute. She was like, oh my gosh, look at this dress I got you today. And her response was, I think that'll look good in my casket for my funeral. And my mom was just like, why would you say that, in her head? But, there was nothing that she could have done to prevent it. My mom thinking that it was the medicine. I remember my mom saying that it was so sad because she was getting ready for a dance. It was a junior dance in high school, and she was ironing her white dress on the ironing board, and my grandma was walking around the house. Fox News came on, and as the news played, it was a body bag being rolled across the screen, and all she can remember was seeing my aunt's name on the screen and my grandma fainting next to her. After my mom explained that happened on the news, that my grandma fell, I began to ask her, well, what happened to my aunt? What happened to my cousins during this time? And sadly, my aunt, before she committed suicide, she tried to take her own kid's life with her as well. So she stabbed one of my cousin's ear and the other cousin's back. And as they began to bleed out, she then took her own life. So my mom had to grow up super fast and actually help take care of the kids that she left behind. And it's just a sadness that came around the family with that story specifically, and that's something that is so sad to just even talk about and to even break down. With my other aunt, I didn't get a chance to meet her either. She actually passed away from the sickness that she had. I didn't really hear too much about this particular aunt, but I know that my grandma held a lot of guilt with this particular child. This aunt asked my grandma to cook her a bowl of chili or gumbo. I can't remember which one it was. My grandma didn't cook her the dish because she was saying that she didn't have time. She just wouldn't be able to do it right then and there. I know that she regretted it afterwards because she passed away not too long after that. So there was a lot of guilt that she held and regret that she held after that situation as well. Losing 2 kids, I wouldn't wish that on anyone. Something that was in this particular aunt was also in the other aunt. They had a common ground, which was the type of sickness that they had, and that was lupus. One of the aunts would say that when she would go to the hospital, she would want to jump out of the window. Like, she would just want to be done with life. And she was always speaking like dark things. It was always church, rehearsals, home. Church, rehearsals, home. That's the whole cycle that we had living with my grandma. My grandma was well respected in her church. They would always say, where's Evangelist? Where's Evangelist? We need to talk to her. We need to see how she's doing. People would call the house, checking on her, all this good stuff. So I just love my grandma. I just want to make a disclaimer that nothing in this video is to bash anyone, but it's to expose the enemy and his cunning ways So I just don't want anyone to feel like I'm, saying that this person's bad. No, but I am exposing the spirit behind different things. Moving forward, I am in elementary school, about to go to middle school. There was a certain time frame in the evening where my grandma would receive company. It wasn't every day, but it was probably like every other day during the week. As the company would enter, my grandma would tell me to go to the back and, go play. And me being respectful, I went to the back and I went to go play because I knew that this was grown folks conversation and that I didn't need to be a part of it. But I began to get a little hungry. And I was like, okay, I just want to go in the kitchen and get me a little snack. And my little snack was a honey bun. I remember specifically what it was. So I got out of my room and I started walking towards the kitchen, but something stopped me. The living room is right here and the den is right here. So I'm in the den area and there's an opening for me hearing the conversation in the living room. And as I peek around, I see my grandma holding cards and going like this and saying, "This is how you're gonna get your husband back." It kind of made me be like, what? Like, how you gonna use cards to get somebody's husband back? And so I knew it was a little weird, but I didn't question anything. I didn't do anything. And my grandma saw me, trying to walk back, and she looked over, but she didn't get mad or anything. But I was like, I better go. After seeing that, I noticed that once a month or once every 2 months, we would all pack up the car and we would have to go to New Orleans, Louisiana. I never understood why we would always have to go, but I was always excited, just to get out of my hometown, Mobile, just to go and see New Orleans. We would go and we would come right back like it was a round trip. We never stayed overnight. We just had to go and get this specific thing as if it was an emergency and come right back home. This one year, I'm looking around and I'm becoming very observant to what's going on around me. And as we parked the car, my mom was just quiet the whole trip. Like, she didn't want to go. She didn't want to be a part of it or anything. And I just noticed that her vibe's off. She just doesn't have the same personality as she usually does. We walk in this store and my mom grabs my hand and she doesn't let go. The guy at the checkout area says, "Evangelist," like he knows her, like they know each other. She speaks back. She was like, "Hey, how you doing? You got my package ready?" And he was like, "Yeah, it's right here." So she's a regular and shops here. But as I look around, this isn't a shopping store. This isn't a grocery store. This is a store where they sell spiritual items. They have candles, they have incense, they have no evil spray. They have a lot of different things that made me wonder, like, what is this? Like, what's behind this stuff? Just so y'all can see what the candle looked like. So the base of the candle looks a bit like this, and there were different sections. So there was a all red section, there was an all purple section, like Roy G. Biv, like the colors of the rainbow. But on the candle in front of it, it would say different words like this. So it would be Jesus, a picture of Jesus in white on the red candle, and you would burn it for 7 days, and it would bring forth passion, sex, love, power, and courage on the candle. Green, it was health, money, growth, abundance. Blue, it was calm, protection, tranquility, attracting positive energy. Pink, it was love, romance, harmony, and friendship. White was protection, healing, connection to higher self. And it keeps going. And so as I was walking through all of these candles, my mom got antsy and she was like talking to my grandma saying, "Are you ready yet?" And I remember it was a long aisle full of stuff. And I look over at the no evil spray and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's what grandma got at home. I pick it up and it's like this white can. It has like an X on it. And at the bottom it says, "Go away evil." I'm looking at it and I said, okay. And I just remember the smell of the house that we lived in. And it smelled like a you ever hugged the older lady that wore good perfume? It smelled like that. My grandma would spray it through the house and just walk up and down the house, and that would be the routine. My mom never had a candle in her room ever. She never had incense in her room. She never had the no evil spray in there. It seems as if she didn't want that for herself, but as time went on, I felt as though she was desperate for something. She felt the need that she just had to do so. I know some of y'all probably like, why were y'all even there for real? Like, why did y'all even stay there? Why did y'all live there? Because honestly, after the separation with my mom and my dad, there was a lot of financial things that went on, and we needed somewhere to stay. And so who better than to stay with your grandma? Who better than to stay with a family member? I'm actually glad this happened, that we did stay with my grandma, because later on she began to get sick, and she was actually diagnosed with I believe it was stage 3 breast cancer. Now the routine was church, rehearsals, home, chemotherapy. And so we would go to the hospital early in the morning. This was like way before school. And my mom would have to leave in the middle of going, to take my grandma to chemo to take me to school. Just seeing how the radiation was doing my grandma, I was like, man, it would really make me sad. All while this is going on, I noticed that there is a red candle in my mom's room. That being normal in the house, I walk in our room and I'm just like, okay, that's different. I remember there was this specific time where my grandma would rip off a white piece of paper and she would write down different things. And it was like she was having a conversation with someone else that just wasn't there with the things that she was writing on the paper. So she would always routinely, whenever she would take out a new candle, she would rip a piece of paper and tape it around the red candle. It would be like 4 candles going at once, but it was kind of like an altar, like a self-built altar in her room. Her dresser was really, really tall, and she would have a candle right here, a candle here, here, and here, and they will all be wrapped in white paper, and she will always have a red pen to write the words on, and she would burn them throughout the whole day, blow them out at night. And this would happen for a week's time, every week. My mom began to do the same thing, but it would only be 1 candle. So my grandma having company over once again, like the company that I mentioned earlier, I went in the back room and I saw this candle burning. Like the fire was really high. I was interested in playing with fire at this time. So I was sitting on the edge of the bed. I was bored. I didn't have siblings. I didn't really, go outside that much. I saw this piece of paper, the piece of white paper sitting next to it. And I ripped off a piece of paper and I poked it in the fire, and it's like it jumped out at me. The fire jumped out and the paper jumped out, and it landed on the floor and it just turned to ash. And so I'm looking and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I began to sit there and just look at the candle, just observing, what it is. Deep down inside, I knew that it wasn't right. I knew that something is off. Something is off with all this burning candles. Something's off with this spray. Something's off with these incense, everything. On the packaging, this is what they have that the incense can bring forth or come to pass. It says, open roads, good luck, attracts money, call money, the exit to success. It has this certain board at the bottom that you just stick the incense in and let it, burn through the house. And the certain board that I saw on Google was the same board that my mom had for her incense. My grandma continues to go through chemotherapy. She continues to fight through. She begins to kind of talk out of it just a little bit. There was one night where I had to stay home with my grandma. Usually I went with my mom to choir rehearsals at our church, but after so long, my grandma couldn't be at home by herself, so I would stay home with her, and I would just call my mom if I needed her to come on back, just whatever would happen. Usually my grandma would take a bath when my mom was still there, but she decided to wait a little bit later. As she was coming out of the tub. I was actually in the other room, playing, and she hit the floor really hard, and I heard her fall. And so I was running to get her, and I said, Grandma, I actually called her Big Mom. I was like, Big Mom, get up. And she was like, well, hold on, I gotta scoot because I can't get up. I can't. I could tell it was embarrassing for her, being this strong person all of her life, and now her body's kind of, going through this health crisis, and her health was declining. It was kind of embarrassing for her to kind of have to depend on somebody to help her. I was reassuring her. I said, Big Mama, I got you. And she was like, okay, I'm gonna scoot and you can pick me up when I get to. She had this bench in her room, so I just pulled it forward for her. And we finally got her up and, cleaned herself off, and she put on her night clothes. We would always have this tradition. It was a sweet tradition we had, where I would go in her room on Monday nights and Thursday nights. We would watch WWE, Raw, and SmackDown. Before y'all comment and say SmackDown was on Friday, I remember it being on Thursday, unless that was the NXT or something. But we would always watch, WWE. And that would just be our bonding time. That would be our thing. That was one great memory that I have with my grandma, along with so many others. There was another thing that she would do. She would have tobacco, snuff, the nasty stuff. If you don't know what snuff looks like, it's brown and it looks like dirt. And she would take it, dip it. Even when she was sick, she would dip it and put it just in her gum. Like, just rub it in her gum and let it just sit there. I was like, Grandma, Big Mom, why do you keep doing that? And she was like, it's good. She was like, it's my boyfriend. And she would always say that tobacco was her boyfriend. Tobacco and Jesus were her two boyfriends. She even told me that I could try it, and I was like, this tastes disgusting, and I just spit it out. And when my mom found out that she did that, she was so upset. She was like, why would you give her that? You're not even supposed to be having it, and all this stuff. Another night came where she was in the bed, and I just heard this loud talking. She was screaming, Mama, I see you. I don't know when my grandma's mom passed away, but I knew that she was deceased. And I'm looking around like, I don't see nobody, in this room. And she's literally talking out loud. And she's like, I'm coming. And she was screaming out, Mama. And her candles were still burning at this time. And I said, Big Mom, what's going on? Like, are you okay? She just began to cry so hard. And I truly believe that even in that off moment, she was really thinking that she was going to pass away, maybe right then and there. And reality probably just sat in like, oh my goodness. I think the most disturbing thing that I probably saw were two things. One of them being the candles being around her Bible, and her Bible will always be open in the book of Psalms. And that really upset me, and I didn't even know why at that young age. Another thing being that not only were the other two sisters going through something crazy, but it happened to my grandma. And there was another aunt that came down to stay with us. My grandma, when she was healthy, would walk around the house and be like, there she go again. And whenever she said that, the other aunt was talking out loud to herself. Now, what I mean by talking out loud isn't normal. Like how, when you clean up, you're like, okay, what did I forget to do? And you try to make yourself remember, and then you're like, oh, that's right, I gotta go do this. When I say full conversations, there would be full conversations. You would be talking to her, and she'll be like, oh yeah, there they go again, and they doing this, and all this stuff, and no, that's not what I said, and all this stuff. And I'm like, there's nobody else in the room. And she would talk to herself like that until she went to bed. And I would love this aunt. This aunt would buy me movies for my birthday. She would never forget my birthday. But there was also this weird thing that would just happen with her, and she would have these full conversations. I would walk out of my room, and as I'm getting ready for bed, hear her having this whole conversation. And I mean, you know, when someone snores and you can't go to sleep, when she would visit my grandma's house, I would stay up because she was still talking to this person that was talking back with her. She would answer them. And I was really creeped out, but it became a normal thing in the family. People would just ignore it. She was young, everything was fine, but she would talk out loud to this person. And so my mom would be like, it's okay, you know, just go to sleep. After that, my grandma's health really declined, and I had this Christmas play at church. And so I was actually getting dressed, and my mom said, okay, we gotta go see Big Mama, because she actually stayed overnight in the hospital. One thing that my mom really did was help my grandma with everything in her. She would make sure the house was clean. She would make sure she ate. She would make sure that she went to the grocery store and just get outside and just do different things. My mom was she was the baby girl. My grandma actually had her at age 40. I remember she looked at my mom and she said, you know, I never would have thought that my last child would be the one, you know, taking care of me like this. My grandma didn't have to go to a nursing home, you know, because my mom would make sure that she was there to take care of her. After so long, I noticed that my grandma was in the hospital for a long time. So we went, I'm thinking this was a normal day, and afterwards I saw that my friend from elementary school and his mom was with us, and I was like, oh, you know, so, like, it was just cool to see them. And I was like, you coming to church with us? And he was like, yeah, I'm coming. And so we were hanging out and stuff, but I didn't notice that my mom put on her shades before she went out the hospital door, and she was like, okay, we're gonna go on to church now. So Sunday school went on, the Christmas play went on, church was out. But in the announcements, someone actually said, we would like to send our condolences to Jennifer Moore, who lost her mom on this morning. And they said that in the church announcements, and my mom was like, she shook her hand. She was like, no, don't do that. Like, not right now. And so I was looking, I said, Grandma not dead. Like, why would they say that? And I just brushed it off because my mom was like, no, not right now. But it was true. After church, my mom called me in the living room, and it just felt dark. I walked in the living room, and I was like, you know, what's going on, Mom? And she said, yeah, Big Mom passed away this morning. I didn't want to tell you just then because I wanted you to be okay for the Christmas production, and I was going to tell you later on. And I immediately thought about my cousins, because Big Mom was she was the glue to the family. Everybody loved Big Mom. It was crazy. I was like, Mom, what are we gonna do? How is life gonna continue going on with the family and stuff like that? And I knew it would hit my cousins harder because they were so close. Like, every holiday coming to see Big Mom, every chance they got, you know. The funeral went on. It was just a sad moment. After burying my Big Mom, it was a darkness in the home like I've never experienced before. I would be scared to go to sleep at night, not because Big Mom wasn't there, but I felt like something was watching me in the house. Like, I would walk through the house and it would just be eerie. Like, I would look over, nothing was there. It was dark in the room, but it was unsettling. I would say, Mom, can we just close the door to Big Mom's room? I don't want to keep seeing. I don't want to look over. Even with the door closed, I would be terrified to go to sleep. There was one night where I actually did go to sleep, and I woke up and I couldn't open my eyes, and it was like they were glued shut, and I just couldn't open eyes. And I was like, Mom, help me open my eyes. And she put water in them, and it was still hard to open, and she finally opened them, and I was like, why can't I open my eyes? She was like, I don't know. That happened. And then another night, my eyes opened, but I couldn't talk, and my mom was walking around in her house shoes, like getting stuff ready for that day. And I felt like I was saying, Ma, like, help me. And she still couldn't hear me. She walked in the whole nother area, and I was freaking out because I was like, I can't say anything. And she finally came back in, and it's like I gasped for air, and I was like, and I said, Ma, you didn't hear me calling you? And she was like, no, I didn't hear you say anything. After that, we still had financial battles and struggles. I remember my mom saying, that's okay, because we're gonna get another place to stay. And so I remember moving into a new home, which was an apartment in Mobile, and I really loved it. I had my own closet and I had my own room, and I never had my own room probably since I was really little, because as I explained before, I had the same room as my mom in my grandma's house. We took a lot of furniture from my grandma's house and took it to our new home, and we just, fixed it up, and it was really nice. I could tell that my mom was really happy. She had great income coming in, like a place for us to stay. It was going great. There was one night I got up and I was going in the refrigerator, and I felt that eerie feeling that I felt when I was at my grandma's house. And so I looked over, and there was a printer in front of me with white copy paper, and I looked over, and I was like, it just felt like somebody was watching me. And so I looked over again, and I felt like I saw my grandma with a white hat on the top of her head, and it kind of made me jump back, because I was like, I'm not supposed to see you. Like, what's happening? So I went in the room. I said, Ma, I felt like I just felt my grandma, and it scared me. And she was like, it's okay. She probably just thought I was grieving, but like, I knew what I saw. My grandma passed away in December of 2014. I believe the year was 2014. And my mom passed away in December of 2016. So when I started looking at all of the different things, I said, okay, one aunt, you can tell like she's out of her mind just a little bit. The other two aunts passed away from lupus. My grandma passes away from breast cancer. My mom passes away from breast cancer. So I knew that something wasn't right again when I saw that there was also an altar built in my mom's house, her new house, the apartment. My mom never had an altar built. It was never more than one candle. It was never a candle at a particular time. Then it started with one, and now we have all these candles on. It was actually by the fireplace in the apartment. One time I came out of my room hearing my mom pray, and I know that people share this thing on this viral post on Facebook, and they'll say, oh my goodness, my mom was a praying mom. My grandma was a praying mom. Things like that triggered me because I knew that they weren't praying how they should have been praying. On the other side of things, there are people that are going forth to God sincerely, just them and God. But on this side, you have serving two masters, kind of like you're praying to God, but you're also lighting candles in witchcraft that are bringing bad things, bringing different spirits and stuff like that. There was a prayer shawl that my mom bought. It was white, and you had the navy stripes and the gold stripes. And as she would wrap herself in it, she would begin to rock and pray. And she was in the middle of the floor, and I would see all of the candles and incense lit. And I looked down and I said, that's not right. In my head, I was like, that's not how you should pray. I'm not supposed to do that. I have a dream that my mom would get sick. And I have this dream, and my mom is going to get a mammogram the next day. But it wasn't a dream where I'm sleeping. I'm literally sitting, eating dinner, and I close my eyes for a second, and I have a vision that she's going to have cancer. I opened my eyes and I just began to weep. I was like, Ma, I don't want you to have cancer. I don't want you to go through it. I was like, I don't want you to get sick and die. I don't want that to happen. She looked at me and she was like, I'm not going anywhere, Kendra. I'm not going anywhere. And so I calmed down. After she gets the mammogram, things are starting to look different. She's starting to lose weight really fast. People at church are like, you know how black people are. They'll be like, if you lose any more weight, you're going to disappear. Don't be losing no more weight. And she would look a certain way, kind of like she can't help it. And, you know, she didn't want to really show her face anymore at church just because people didn't know what she was going through. She got back in the car and there was this smell that I got a whiff of. And it was a real distinct smell. And it smelled really bad. And I was like, oh my gosh, Ma, what is that? It didn't smell like fart or anything. It just smelled foul. And she was like, I don't know. What do you smell? And I was like, it just stinks. Like, I don't know if it's on you or what. And I remember she would have these gauzes that she would insert in her shirt. And I would wonder why she was doing that. Later on, I find out that she had breast cancer. And it started off as stage 2 and then ended up coming back as stage 4. The first lady of the church told us that she went to this revival and prayed for us, and she wanted us to go to the revival the next day. And my mom told our pastor, you know, that she was sick and that she would need help. So we went to the church service, and I'll never forget, my mom was in the line to receive healing from breast cancer. This man that was a prophet called out my mom. The guy looked at her and told her to stop and said that she's been dealing in witchcraft and that it's been a generational curse, and it was brought to her by her mom. When he said that, my mouth dropped and my eyes got really, really big. And it was another moment where everything that I saw when I was little was adding up to now. And I said, so that's why everybody was getting sick. That's why it was different things happening in the family that I just couldn't, you know, put together, that I just couldn't imagine, you know, would just happen. At that moment, she began to weep so hard, and he just started saying different things like candles, Eastern Star, just different things was just coming out. And there was talks about my grandma being a part of a society called the Eastern Star. And I never really understood what it was, but I do know that it was up under Masons, if you've heard about a Mason in the world. And, you know, they have meetings and different things like that. I didn't really go into detail with these different things because I haven't done a lot of research about it. But from the research that I have found, it's twisted. They present it to you as something else, but in reality, it's demonic. It's not of God. What I did find out was that if you are an Eastern Star, there's a logo that's inverted. It's an inverted pentagram. The inverted pentagram or the inverted star, when it's inverted, is Baphomet. And that's the Eastern Star logo. And so how it's presented is the middle of it is a Bible. There's like different, you know, pictures of the different things that they represent. So you may think that it's good, but it's actually evil. Well, my mom called for some help, and this lady came that was a great leader at our church, and she was a prayer warrior. She walked around the house, and when she got done, she said, you need to throw away this item, that item, and that item. And what she pointed to was my grandma's china cabinet, my grandma's bed, and my grandma's 2 chairs. And as she told us to throw that out, I immediately knew why. Because bad spirits can attach to items, and you just have to get that on up out of your house if you want peace, if you want, you know, just only Jesus. with you. And the lady began to turn to my mom and say, so how did all this stuff happen? She was like, because there's definitely generational curses. How did it pass you? And it was like a question where it was like, it didn't pass. It was still there at the time. All the candles and stuff, they went away, but things started happening in the mind where she just wasn't like herself. She ran away one time. She showed up naked in her car. Police were looking all over for her. She stopped going to church. A lot of people were worried about her. She would show up trying to find me and wanting to fight the person that was taking care of me. It was just a lot of things that went on after she got sick. All of these events are happening while I'm in school. I'm now in high school at this time. And my godmom decides, to come over and spend the night with us just to make sure everything's good with my mom and make sure everything's good with me. So it's my godmom and my little god sister. We're all sitting on the couch and we're actually getting ready for bed. That night was probably the craziest night that I've ever experienced in my life. Just the feeling and just to remember it is pretty difficult, so y'all bear with me. As we go to sleep, everything's fine. Room temperature, great. We get all cuddly, we're cuddling up, it's fine. But we wake up sweating. Not a cold sweat, we were hot. And literally our clothes it was sweat stains, everything. My godmom wakes up and she's like, oh my goodness, like why is it so hot? She walks to turn the air down some. And my mom like runs her way and she's like grabbing her hand. She says, stop, you don't pay anything in here. You need to stop. And at this time, we are not in the apartments. We are actually living in Section 8. And I didn't want to move to this house because I just didn't. There's a certain stench. It smells like the hospital. I can just have flashbacks of just things kind of being all over the place. When we first moved in the Section 8 home, we didn't have a bunch of pots. We didn't have a bunch of things to cook on. Like, we rarely have food. And that night, I look around and I'm like, what's going on? So my mom says, stop, you don't pay anything in here. And my godmom was like, Jennifer, it's hot. Like, everybody's sweating. It's hot. My godmom gets her under control. We sit back down. We lay down. And as soon as we all sit back down, there's a knock at the door. And my mom starts like laughing under her breath. And I was like, what is she doing? But, I didn't really think too deep into it because she was sick. A lot of things was going on. And so I'm just thinking right now, this is normal. I go to open the door and I'm like, I got it. So I look and it is probably 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. It's like really late. I open the door and it's these three ladies. They're in all black. They walk in the house and I was like, hey, can I help you? And they were like, yeah, Jennifer called us over. I was like, my mom called y'all? And I remember one of the ladies being in our carpool line when I was in elementary school. And they were like, yeah. So they walk in and I was like, when did she call y'all? And my mom comes out, and the way she walks in the living room it wasn't a human walk. She was like, if I can explain it honestly, it was like she was slithering in the room, and she would sway back and forth, and she would just have this stare. And so I look and I say, something isn't right, and it seems as if there's a demonic spirit that has attached itself to my mom. I became really alert at that time because growing up in church, knowing about different spirits and how people can have demonic spirits, entering them and stuff, I knew what that was. I knew my mom to cast out those evil spirits back at our home church. I knew my mom to be praying for other people and casting the spirit out. And as the night goes on, they say, can we pray for you, to my mom? And my mom is like this. Every time they ask, she keeps shaking her head no. So I begin to pray in my heavenly language. I go to the table and I'm praying. My godmom takes my little sister back because she just is like really, really shocked. So I'm over at the table. I'm sitting there and I'm praying. And they started praying and it just gets really, really loud. While they're praying, they have their eyes open, but my mom is walking around like this. And she's moving around as they're praying, and she's laughing. She's like, and it was scary because I've never seen my mom, like this. And so as she's walking around and doing that, she comes to me, and she stands in front of me, and she looks at me, and she doesn't move. And I feel her right there, and I just keep praying. I don't stop. I'm concerned about her. So I continue to pray. And I look at her and I say, Mom, would you like to pray with me? And I said, if I ask her this and she says no, I have my answer. She looks and she says, and she just keeps saying it. And as she's saying she then changes and she looks back, and then she looks at me as I continue to pray, and she tries to turn my head to her, and she starts laughing like ha 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 ha, like once again, but it was deeper. And so she turns my face and she begins to rub my face, and I don't stop praying. And I can just remember tears started to build up in my eyes because I'm like, I can't believe that this is happening to somebody that I view so strong, somebody that I view such a prayer warrior, and now they're saying no to prayer. They're like turning down a lot of godly things. And as she does that, I take her hand, and then I take my hand and I put it on top of her forehead, and then I become stronger, and I started praying more. And she takes my hand and she just holds it. She holds it down, and then she starts walking back away. And they stopped praying. The three ladies stopped praying. Nothing happened that night. As I walk to the door, they're like rushing out. They're getting their stuff and they're leaving out. And I'm like, what's going on? Like, y'all supposed to be laying hands at this point. I'm running to the door and I say, do y'all know what's wrong? Like, did y'all find out what's wrong? As I'm talking to them, they're like, no, your mom. As soon as they say that, my mom's voice is like a deep, dark person that's not her. She says, stop it. Stop talking to them and close that door and go sit down. And I look back, and me being a kid, I was like, okay, like I'm closing the door. And I was like, okay. She was like, continue to pray for your mom. Continue to pray. And I closed the door. When I turn around, my mom begins to go back to her room, and I don't remember going back to sleep peacefully that night. Days go by. I walk in the room to check on my mom, and my mom is talking like a baby. She's saying different things like, if I go to sleep, will I die? Oh my gosh, where's Kendry? Oh my, what are y'all gonna do? Like, she was asking different questions, and I believe that a lot of people thought that I bathed my mom before. So I walked in the bathroom to check on her, and the water was cold. Like, the hot water didn't even work. And my mom was shivering. My mom was shivering in the tub, and I said, that's okay, Mom. We just gotta get you clean. So I go through her medical kits, and I get out the stuff to clean her up. And that smell that I smelled in the car that I mentioned earlier was a tumor on her breast that was open, and it was gushing out blood. She didn't have enough money to go and get medical treatment for the cancer that she had. I'm sorry. she was sitting there and she was shaking, and there was this frail body that I'm looking at, and she had low hair, like all her hair fell out. And I just remember my mom trying to hold on, but I knew that she was tired. She was really tired. And she looked at me, she kept saying, I'm cold, I'm cold. And I said, okay, Mom, we're gonna get you out. Just wait right here, and I'm gonna get someone to help you out. And I remember my pastor and my godmom being there. And I called for my godmom. She was like, oh my gosh, Kendry, I'm sorry. I thought that, you did her gauze before and all of that stuff. She was like, I'm gonna take over now. You go ahead and you sit and you just calm down. Those are just different events that happened after my mom got sick. I'm making this video to expose the enemy. Sage, evil eye, evil spray, some different incense. Not all candles are bad, but the intent behind the thing when it was first made is what we need to pay attention to. And I want everyone watching this video to understand that the things of this generation, not everything is to help you. A shadow book isn't to help you. The thing that they're selling on TikTok right now is of the enemy. It's Wicca, I believe that's how you pronounce it, which is a witch, a warlock that had the evil intention of saying, okay, different people around are on their healing journey, so let me help them with their past life, with a shadow book. Let me help them every day. They'll write down something. That's of the enemy. So we really have to stay prayed up. We have to be on our toes as Christians. We have to walk this fight, and we have to stand up to the enemy. Whether it's exposing the enemy to your family members, telling them that they are doing something that isn't right, whether that's telling your friends, whether that's telling yourself. One thing that I had to learn myself was horoscopes isn't right. What I mean by that is I titled this HorrorScope, like HorrorScope, because of one word, horoscope. And so there's a lot of talk about different signs when your birthday is and how you should act and what you should do. And I actually got caught up one day. I was scrolling on Instagram, and a tarot card came about, and I didn't know that this was like a psychic tarot card or anything like that. But all I saw was my birthday, and I saw how I was feeling in the moment. And I said, oh my goodness, I'm a Leo then. Like, I'm a lion. That's who I am. That's my character. And that's not at all what I am. I am who God says I am. And that's what we should really say about ourselves. When someone comes to ask you about what sign you are, I'm a child of God. That's my sign, and that's what I'm going to stick to. Yes, Jesus created the stars, but if we continue to worship and just adore the stars like astrology, then we're actually worshiping the creation instead of the creator. God is a jealous God, that he created those things so that, to form the world. He created us. Why would we worship another human instead of worshiping the creator of the human? So that's just something to put into perspective. That's something to think about. In my experience, I saw someone serving two masters, which is dangerous. You say that you're saved, that you were serving God, but you are also really putting your trust into a materialistic thing such as a candle. The reason why it's dangerous to light these candles and to put your trust in these candles is you're also showing that you're only trusting the candles. You don't have an ounce of trust in God. So that's also showing that, oh, I'm just going to trust man-made things that can fail me. I'm trusting man-made things that can fail me in the future, or even put me into more danger. And also open up doors. The no evil spray that was sprayed around, you're opening up more evil. Like, you're putting things into the atmosphere that aren't of God. I don't want that to go into my family, into my children, into my marriage or anything. I don't need a candle to tell me that I'm going to be successful, that I'm going to have more than enough. I know what the Bible says, and that's what I'm going to follow by. And I know what Jesus says about me, and that's what I'm going to believe. If you're going to be a Christian, you have to be a bold one. You have to be a confident one. As you begin to become more familiar with Christ, what he accepts and what he doesn't accept, we just have to stand strong in that. So I just thank God for, even while I was around all of the witchcraft, all of the things that weren't of God, he protected me even in the midst of all of that. And I truly believe that my mom asked for forgiveness right after that man, that prophet, told her, you know, that she was dibbling and dabbling in witchcraft and that it's been a generational curse. And I truly believe that that generational curse has stopped. Not only do I believe that my mom asked for forgiveness, but I truly believe that my grandma asked for forgiveness as well. And I always have prayed that they did. That's my heart's desire. Again, this video wasn't to bash anyone, but it was to tell my testimony. It was just to show what the enemy can do, but what we won't continue to let him do, what we won't allow him to do. If you came across this video and you have been exposed to some things like that, it's not too late to ask God for forgiveness. You have seen this video for a reason, and I just pray that you will be free from all of the shackles, all of the chains, any anxiety, any depression, any suicidal thoughts that you may be feeling. I just pray that all of that is released up off of you, and that you will begin to experience unspeakable joy, joy that's contagious around your friends. They'll begin to wonder why you're smiling so hard. Why not? Because I'm saved. Because I know who Jesus is. Because I know who the real Savior is of this world. So I just thank y'all so much for clicking on this video. Thank y'all for always being so supportive, always leaving great comments for me. I just pray that the rest of your day is the best of your day. And just remember to be great. I love you guys so, so much. And I will see you guys next time.
Yo, so that was an awesome video that Kendry made. We praise God for that video because it exposes everything that the enemy is trying to do. And a lot of times we notice that a lot of people nowadays, they're ignorant of the fact of how powerful Satan is in his tactics. That's why Kendry brought this out. A lot of y'all don't think that the enemy would do anything like this because y'all think, oh, this sign is for peace. This sign is for wealth, and this sign is for all these type of things, right? But God is showing you, if it's not in him, it doesn't matter. If it's not in him, it's not rooted in the strength of who he is. So I hope y'all enjoyed this video. We will stream another day this week. We'll get back